fam, it's your girl Shelby.
And I'm Erica.
And welcome to another episode of All Things Melanin TV. So today we're going to chat about faith and perseverance when it comes to building our dreams. I feel like in this season of life and growing up and just a whole bunch of other external factors in life, I don't really feel like we talk about the toll sometimes that happens when you are trying to follow your dreams, build your dreams, launch your business, move up in corporate America. When you're really just trying to be the person that that you've been destined to be. Like you don't just wake up and it happens. Now if it does, call me and tell me how.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it takes they say it takes like 10 years to become like an overnight celebrity. Like we don't talk about the sacrifice. We don't talk about the toll. We don't talk about the stress. We don't talk about the things that we have to give up, the nights that we cried, the nights we've been frustrated, the nights that like we've had to go back to the drawing boards, the nights that you just feel really discouraged. Like I feel like there are so many different emotions that come with building and following your dreams that we don't really talk about.
Yeah.
But I feel like the one thing that is constant in all of that and that you have to have is you got to have God in faith.
Yes.
Because if I didn't, I'd be then crashed out already.
Yeah.
Like that is so important. I feel like God gives me a sense of peace and a sense of like contentment and knowing that He has my back. Because I genuinely believe that like if God plants things in your heart and your mind, like that you're supposed to use them in some way, that like they're not ours, they're meant to be for the world. But also, while we are following these dreams, we got bills to pay.
We do.
We got bills to pay that need to clear. And so one of the ways that we do that is we work.
Yeah.
And so Erica and I, if you don't know, we both work 9 to 5s. We work in corporate America. We have for over a decade. And we've been doing our brand for All Things Melanin for about, I think, 6 or 7 years now. We started in 2017. If that math don't math, I'm not a math person. I'm sorry. Disclaimer. Okay. But one thing that we've had to do is that we've had to balance our corporate careers with our creative endeavors. And so, like, how do you feel like, friend, that we've been able to find some type of balance or like to do both? Because it's not always easy.
Man, it's not. And I'm still trying to figure it out, y'all. I feel like I say that on every video we ever had. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't have all the answers. That's growth because I would at least try to act like I got the answers and I don't. But I think for me, balancing, I had to pull away from feeling like I have to get everything done and don't know when to cut it off. So for me, I set an intentional work schedule, whether I followed it or not, but it's there Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, actually, where my side hustles, I'll put like Monday, 1 to 2 hours of this, 30 minutes of this. So that way it helps me when I'm in a routine like that. If I ain't in a routine and it's not written down, I can't function. I don't know what I'm doing. But for me, I have like an intentional work schedule that I don't have to think about it. I just look at it and I'm like, oh, it's Wednesday. Okay, I should be focused on this for the next hour. And that has helped me somewhat. Like I said, if there's a day where I just ain't got it, I'm skipping Wednesday. We're just going, and that has to be okay for me because I used to like never skip anything, or if I did skip, then I would try to make it up on the next day, and then I'm tired and I'm overworked and then I'm burnt out. So for me, the work schedule is like just to something easier for me, future me, so that I'm able to just after my 9 to 5 and working on 5 to 9 things, I make sure that I balance it and not overdo it. So 1 to 2 hours to me may not feel like a lot, but it's enough to just do at least 1% better than the day before. So what would you say? What does that look like to you?
I think obviously I agree with everything you said, and I think that that is so important. I think just to add to what you're saying, one thing that I have found when balancing our job with side hustling is I think that like before you can even do that, I've learned that like you have to make up in your mind that you're gonna do what it takes to get where you want to be. So I think that when you are side hustling and you are working or you're following your passions and you're building something, that you have to have a you have to be disciplined in your mind, and you have to tell yourself that like this is gonna get done regardless. And to Erica's point, like if you just don't have the capacity to do it, like give yourself first and take a break. But I feel like you have to be mentally tough and mentally disciplined. And I feel like when you make up in your mind that it's gonna get done and you want to be there or do whatever you're trying to do, then doing what Erica said is just like blocking out certain days and times to work on your passion project or your brand or your business is going to be so helpful because we give so much of our time to other things. Why don't you give your time to things that bring you joy and passion? Like to Erica's point, like when I working all things Melanin, I set aside a certain day, and I remember just being so overwhelmed one day because I think work was a lot at the time. It was just a lot going on, and then we had a lot going on. And I wrote in my phone, I literally was like, "Shall we dedicate 1 hour a day, 4 days a week?" Erica's point, 1% better. And then if you can handle it, keep going. And I think that when you are balancing those two things, I just think that you really just have to set aside time, but you also have to just make up in your mind that like this is what I want to do, this is how I'm gonna get there, and just do it to the best of your ability. Because I believe that like when you do all you can do, then God will meet you halfway into the rest.
Yes, I love that. And so, like, with balancing demanding stuff, like, what does the time management look like for you?
Okay, I'm terrible with time management. I suck. But I think it's so important, and I think on some days and some weeks I kill it, and on some days and some weeks I'm terrible. Sometimes I take Erica like friend. I'm gonna be honest. I ain't got it. I didn't do it. I'm sorry. Give me grace. But I think for me, what does it look like? So I have tried to do things before work. It doesn't work for me. So for me, time management looks like working on things after work or maybe 1 or 2 days on the weekend. I feel like that's been really helpful for me. Like during the week, I try to do like an hour or two, and on the weekend, sometimes I can power through and do 2 to 3 hours. But I do try to set aside time where I know that I'm at a peak productivity level. Because if my productivity or my not productivity but creativity level, because if I'm not, then nothing's gonna get done. What does that look like for you?
That's that's a good point because I feel like people love to say they're busy, but what are you busy doing during
Right.
that time? Because if you just busy but nothing's getting done, you just
Yeah.
not being productive. And so for me, I always tied like being accomplishing something to being productive. Sometimes like taking that day or hour out the week to just do nothing is could be productive for you.
Right.
Resting is productive because
Yeah.
if you don't recognize when your body or your mind or your emotions whatever is telling you you cannot do this
Mhm.
hour today, like with I'm so grateful that it's both of us doing this all things melanin because I'm not sure I would be able to do this 8 years down, 7, 8, whatever we are down the line
Yeah.
by myself because it is a lot. We carry this on our backs. And so having a partner helps, but then also with the time management, like for instance, yesterday on my intentional work schedule, I was supposed to do like an hour of something. I didn't even have 15 minutes in me. I just was like, okay, well, let me at least start it, but it was okay that I didn't have that in me. So just like I was saying, just recognizing that if you don't have the time, if you don't have the capacity to do it within that time, that is okay. It's still going to be productive. You don't have to be busy every single day to get something done.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Yeah, and the other thing that I would say, just to piggyback off that I just thought of it, is like be realistic about like what you can balance and what
Yes.
your time management is. And I say that because there have been days, like for instance at work or even with all these melanin, that I've written all these things down to do, and then I get really upset that I didn't get them done. But when I go back and I calculate it in my head, I'm like, girl, you weren't doing all of that.
Yes.
So I think just being really realistic about like what you can do and the time that
Yes.
you want to get them done. For instance, at work, like I used to write like a whole laundry list of things that I want to get done every week, every day, and I had to stop doing that. So what I started doing is I started writing down three things. I was like, Shelby, what are the top 2 things that you need to get done today? And if it's a big project, I was like, okay, Shelby, obviously you can only have time to work on this. So I think that just being realistic about what you can do in the time you're allotted and setting realistic expectations will
Yes.
take you far in time management and getting things done and following your dreams, your passion, and building your side.
Yes. Totally. So, with that being said, how do you continue to show up when you're not seeing the results from all that work?
It's so hard, and I feel like I'm so glad that like we wrote this question down and that we're talking about it because I don't feel like we talk about the emotions and feelings that go with putting your all into something and not seeing the results that you want. I
Yeah.
think that it is normal to feel down and downcast and sad and upset. And I'm one of those people that like I'll give myself,
Mhm.
but after that, I pick myself. I think it's important. I pick myself up, and I think it's important to pick yourself up and to audit what's going right and what's going wrong. So, for instance, like if you have a business or you have a brand or whatever the case may be, chances are that you are doing something that can be tracked. If you're on social media, you can track what posts are doing well. You can track, are people liking them? Are they interacting with them? Are they sharing them? Are they engaging with them? I think it's important to, when things aren't going right, to give yourself grace, to take a little rest. Maybe you need to reboot in creativity and being inspired. I think that's totally fine. For instance, Eric and I to reboot, we take a creative break in the summer and we take a break around the holidays, December and January. And for me, I feel like it's really been helpful and giving myself grace and also in creativity. But
Mhm.
sorry, that was off track. But back to what I was saying, I think that it's important to step back and audit what is going well and what is going wrong. I think that sometimes you have to find a little, you may have to find, go back and remember your why. And then also just don't be afraid to change things up and to evolve. I don't think that there's anything wrong with doing things the way that you've been doing them. But if they are not serving you, helping you, or pushing you, then I think it's really, really important to be open to evolving um, and changing.
Yeah.
I think that that has really helped me and Erica. I think one thing that I love about us is that like we're friends first, but we're also business partners. And when it comes to our brand, I think that we have grown in maturity. That when we have our yearly meetings, we have 2 or 3 meetings during the year. We don't bring ego into it. Like no idea is a stupid idea, and we hear each other out. And if we're both not in, we're just not in.
Yeah.
And so I think that that I think in order to continue showing up for yourself, you have to sometimes rest. I think that sometimes you have to go back and audit and see what's right or what's wrong.
Mhm.
And then I think that you have to go back and remember your why.
Yeah.
I think another way, one other thing that I want to reframe is that I think that so many times we get caught up in social media analytics.
Yeah.
But let's say that only like 30 people liked your story or 30 people liked your post. Think about if 30 people showed up for a dinner for you,
Mhm.
or 30 people showed up to support you, or
Mhm.
30 people had your back about something. I think that like, and or 30 people showed up to a dinner party. Like that's a lot of
That
people.
is.
And so I think the other thing that we have to do is we have to reframe how we view people that are liking and sharing our stuff.
Yeah.
But I ranted a lot, but that's what I got on that question.
I think that was good. The only thing I can add to that is whenever you're feeling like, well, I'm not seeing the results that I want to see. Besides everything that Shelby said, it's like it's okay if you don't see the results right away,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, it's about staying committed to your dream, staying faithful, and staying discipline, because to me, some days I'm like, I don't feel like doing none of this. And
Right.
it's like, well, if I relied on my feelings, would nothing ever get done? Like,
Yeah.
so you can't rely all the time on how you feel about doing something. Or another thing I was thinking about too is just building anything from the ground up. It's a learning process. So,
Right.
like when Shelby was saying, maybe change some things around, like that's a smart thing to consider. And then also realizing that I've always said this before, it's like the day that you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. So you have to let it grow. You
Right.
have to give it time, water it, and be committed to it. And there's a time and season for everything. So as long as we stay in faith and we stay in prayer and we pray over our brand, that's very important too. Whatever business or anything you have going on, make sure that you pray over it and pray over the opportunities or the connections or whatever it is, and don't worry about the how many people are viewing or not liking or not purchasing or not buying. I went through this with my own business too. It's an ebb and flow type of thing. Like there'll be times where you don't hear nothing from nobody. Then there's times where you start hearing things. So it's like, don't give up too soon.
Right.
Just don't give up too soon. So that's what I would say.
I love that, friend.
Thanks. So what's our takeaway for today?
Yeah. So on today's takeaway, we are sharing one thing that we're committed to doing in this season to continue to move the needle forward.
Ooh.
What did you say? Okay, I have one for our brand that I'll share. So I shared this with Erica. I said, so one thing that I am committing to move the needle for is I think that it's really important to continue to learn. I don't think that anybody knows I don't think that one person knows everything, and I don't think you'll ever know everything. But I've learned that it's really important to be teachable and to continue to learn and to see what information is out there. And so I am in this season and going forward and committed to being a teacher of building a brand, being a teacher of being a learner of social media, being a learner of community growth. So I am really committed to just getting back out there and educating myself so that I can continue to help our brand to grow and to evolve and to be what we want it to be. What
Yeah.
about you?
I would say that same thing in addition to just staying consistent to who we are
Yeah.
and not try to stray away from our beginning of our why if it's not moving as forward as fast as we would want it to.
Yeah.
I mean, you said 10 years of overnight success. We almost there.
We over
friend.
halfway.
We almost there.
Okay.
So follow us now.
No, for real.
No, follow us. But that's what I would take away from it is just staying committed to the consistency and who we are and why we're doing this. So
Yeah.
that's what I would say.
Love that.
Yes. So we hope you love that too. Make sure you like, share, subscribe this channel so you won't miss another episode. And we'll see you right here next time. Thanks all.
Bye.